On this night, the Shaolin Temple did something unusual. It did not respond. No bells rang. No torches were raised. No monks gathered. The gates remained closed, not in fear, but in judgment. You stand at the edge of the courtyard and feel the weight of that choice, like a silence pressed into your bones. The air itself seems to be listening. This isn't a tale about swords and clashes. It's about a decision so quiet, it almost becomes invisible. It's about knowing when presence is power and when absence is the stronger force. Shaolin legends often teach of two dangers. One arrives with drums, shouts, the clear intent to hurt. The other arrives without drum beats, patient, as if waiting for you to reveal yourself. Tonight is the second. Outside the outer walls, footsteps circle like slow tides. Voices come and go, testing, prodding the stillness. They are trying to make a noise. They're trying to pull something from the temple. Inside, the monks are seated. They are breathing. They are listening. In the center hall stands a guardian monk, faceless in the sense that you don't know him, but his presence is clear. He is not chosen for the speed of his hands or the thunder of his kicks. He is chosen for restraint. He is chosen to demonstrate a lesson that isn't about winning a fight. It's about choosing when to engage and when to withhold engagement. Imagine sitting in a room while the temperature drops and the sky waits. Your muscles might want to twitch, to make a move, to react to each scrape on the gate. That impulse is human. The real lesson is to notice that impulse and let it pass. This monk has trained his whole life to be the still response to a world that constantly demands reaction. Torches around the compound burn low, their flames unnaturally cautious, as if the night has convinced them to keep their light small. Wind pushes at the closed doors but cannot find the seam to slip through. Shadows lengthen beyond what the stones permit, stretching with a kind of deliberate curiosity. The guardian walks, not in a hurried patrol, not in a theatrical loop. He moves slowly, each step deliberate, as if each footfall is a punctuation mark in a sentence that refuses to be read aloud. Each breath is counted. Movement without intention, Shaolin teaching says, is noise. Noise invites reaction, so here, movement is measured and limited. The monk moves only when there is a reason, and tonight the reason is not to answer a provocation, but to hold the line of quiet. This is a subtle kind of courage, the courage to make yourself scarce when scarcity itself might be mistaken for fear. The world outside the walls mistakes silence for weakness. Inside, silence is chosen. You hear it, something striking the outer gate. Not with the ferocity to shatter wood and stone, but with enough force to send a message, a hand on a bell that refuses to ring. Why provoke if not to see your mettle? The first strike tests balance, the second measures patience. The monk halts. He adjusts his stance, not defensive, not aggressive, perfectly centered. The strike echoes through the stone halls, like a dropped coin in a vast hall. But it evokes no echo of anger. The echoes die and the temple keeps breathing. Shaolin philosophy has a simple, brutal clarity. Those who seek reaction reveal their weakness. Every shout that isn't answered becomes evidence against the shouter. People looking for any excuse to claim victory leave tracks when they get none. The silence itself becomes a kind of armor. Imagine being the provoker. You expect a response. Your plan collapses when the target does something that refuses your logic. That lack of logic becomes a mirror. It shows you your own need for confirmation. The monastery offers no confirmation. It offers only a blank wall of quiet. This night is not about sparring. It's about ego. Once the first hits fail to draw a response, the urge to escalate climbs like heat under skin. The guardian's hands tighten for a moment. Years of training, memory of contests and victories and losses, all of that presses against a single question. When does restraint become refusal? When does holding back harm your cause instead of helping it? For an instant, something shimmers at the edges, heat around his arms, a faint trace of power that is not unleashed. It's not a display of force, it's a reminder that force exists and is chosen not to be used. The glow retreats as his breathing slows. He chooses again and again the same action, to contain rather than explode. What you learn here is delicate. Controlling a response isn't about denying power, it's about recognizing both the cost and the result of action. Restraint requires strength of a kind that is often invisible. It is a muscle you only prove by not flexing it when everyone expects you to. Outside, the sound changes. It's not a retreat, and it's not an attack. It's confusion. the unsure shuffling of a plan that faltered. The silence inside the walls grows heavier, thicker, until it is almost a thing you can see. Shadows that had been bold enough to press against the stones begin to withdraw. Footsteps lose rhythm and hang in the air like questions with no answers. The invisible force of silence becomes a presence. Sometimes, absence speaks louder than presence. The temple's refusal to play along makes the invaders question their motives, their strength, their method. They expected a reaction because that's how most conflicts resolve. When you don't respond, you take the script away. Shaolin wisdom whispers here, victory does not always require presence. Not every battle needs a soldier. Some victories arrive simply because you are steady and do not feed the fire. You can win by letting the heat of conflict burn itself out. Dawn comes in a way that does not announce itself. Light spills over the eaves like a slow breath. The gate opens for the first time since the night began. Stone bears faint marks of pressure. Wood shows signs of strain, but nothing is broken. The prints in the dirt are messy, patterns of someone who came with a plan and left with a mystery. Inside, no one speaks. There are no reports written, no laurels pinned, no debriefs dissecting decisions. The monks do not catalog every night into lessons and manuals. Some lessons, they believe, are meant only for those who failed to learn them. You come away with a quiet sort of knowledge. Restraint leaves no trophy. It leaves only the steady continuation of what matters. The temple opens again, and life resumes. But something about the air remains different. A faint residue of the choice made in darkness. The guardian returns to training before the sun fully rises. There is no recognition, no applause, no ceremonial bow. Shaolin Kung Fu has never been about proving strength to others. It has always been about knowing when strength does not need to appear. This story asks a question that lives beyond the walls and the specific moment. What would you refuse to react to? How often do you give your energy to provocation that seeks nothing but a mirror? The most powerful response is often an absence, a closed door, a calm breath, a decision not to feed into someone else's need to be answered. There is a code here that isn't written. Choose your battles by the value they hold, not by the size of the noise they make. Be measured, be intentional, hold your power without announcing it. And when the world presses for a piece of you, remember that sometimes the bravest action is to stay still and watch the world run out of breath. If you leave with one image from tonight, let it be simple and sharp. A closed gate, a calm monk, and a silence so full of judgment it needs no voice. The temple chose silence, and in that silence, it taught what war drums never could.